just for a minute. Close your eyes for a second.
Posh fam, let's just get into the drama that went down at the last episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now, it's safe to say that it all went down at the bank or the Vault restaurant. It's actually a very lovely restaurant. I was like, oh my God, this looks like a bank heist that's about to happen. But in fact, it was a restaurant. It was so classy, and the ladies dressed the part, with the exception of Kenya, of course. This is where things kicked off and also where the episode ended. Now, Brit and Kenya, they are now, at the center of the circus that was the Photogate. Now, we have followed this particular story on the internet, on Instagram. The news broke last year when shooting was on about Kenya Moore opening her hair care, relaunching her hair care spa, and decided to also do a deep dive on the internet to dig up dirt on Brit, one of the newest cast member. Now, this particular shame led her to be suspended. We don't know if she's actually suspended or permanently deleted from the franchise. We don't know, but fact still remains she might still be getting her paycheck because of the legal ramifications surrounding all that has gone down with this particular explosive blowout. Now, a lot of the parties, I'm going to give my opinion. However, this episode 4 kind of kickstarted the drama that was the Spagate photo event. So we're going to just touch base with all of that. First things first, I'm going to say this. Angela should pretty much bring Oakley on every time she's talking, because it appears her husband is now the main cast on this particular season. We know Angela came on. However, she didn't tell us she was also going to be involving her husband in every conversation she's having. And before I get ahead of myself, guys, please subscribe to my channel, like, comment. As you know, I have said time and time over again, you may be my next shout out when I give you or when I run my commentary on the next episode. So please hit that notification button. We do need to grow this channel. I know it's a sluggish start. I did not know how hard this is going to be, but I am hoping and trusting and giving you guys the power to support me. Now, Angela and Brittany had an exercise date, and we saw Angela on a pram. I actually thought it was a baby, not knowing, she was strolling with her dog in a pram. I've seen it all. I have seen it all. And it quickly got down to the nitty-gritty of this particular exercise date, and very quickly Angela is complaining about her husband. Now, it's been 4 episodes, and of that 4 episodes, the first episode we saw her singing of his praises. Now, we actually thought the man was the saint, and I called it. And I said, the way she is singing this man's praise, there is something that is not adding up. Something is amiss here. And yeah, it appears something is really amiss. I've delved a little bit deeper into the drama. I think this guy has cheated on her. He's done a few shady deals, in terms of the relationship. And it's not looking really rosy as she painted it out to be. Yeah, so she is complaining about the dynamics between Oakley, her husband, and her mom. Apparently, when they had their issues, she had confided in her family members who have now turned against him, and she is now in the middle trying to bridge the gap between the family dynamics. And I always say this, and guess what? Take it from me. If you are married, okay, you meet your partner, you guys are dating, the minute you get married, the two of you should have a sit down and exclude all your family members. Now, all respectfully, I would say this. You love your family members. I love them too for you. However, they would always see your side when drama or chaos arises. And if you are telling me that you're not going to argue with your husband, issues are not going to arise, you are deluded to think that. Now, the moment you step out, you go and start whinging and whining and complaining about your spouse to your family members, you have just ended your marriage. Yeah. And like I said, she's trying now to, I don't know, settle scores or whatever she's trying to do, bring them back together. I don't know if that's going to work. Maybe Brit should start charging her for the therapy session she's receiving from her right now, because I feel like she's unable to pay the $3,000 counseling fee she was paying her therapist for the last how many years she's been going. So she desperately needs to keep going, okay? Because it looks like we're going to be getting a lot more drama from that particular marriage that she painted as good, because it's not so rosy. We'll move on from Brittany, because Brittany was the center of this. Brittany was also talking about her sister and the family dynamics and how that feel. And then obviously she had a date with one of her sisters, who felt that Brit is now married, and because she got married, she has sort of alienated her family members. Now her sister feels she has to go through Mike, her husband, to secure a date with Brittany, her sister. And Brittany is like, well, he's my man, I don't know what this my man thing. I actually see it from Brittany's side more than I see it from the sister side, because from what I just said earlier, once you get married, yeah, you love your family members, but I think there should be a time and place for everything. Now, family is everything. However, there are some ways to navigate this. And if you don't all have a conversation at the start, it's just going to be all of this drama and chaos, and people are trying to, not bite the finger that feeds them. Brittany's sister feels isolated, feels hard done by, because she has to go through Mike to get a conversation started with her sister. Brit is like, well, you need to call me, I'm always there. Do I think she's always there? I don't know, but I really want to get into the family dynamics of the thing. It looks messy as hell, or they're not telling us everything, and if they are, guys, sort it out. And in the same family side of situation, we saw Shamea and her sister having a conversation. Meanwhile, Shamea sort of debuted her single, Never Had. I actually like this single. And this particular single, the drama is going to play out at the vault, where the girls had a dinner date, okay? This particular vault dinner date was organized by none other than Angela. She feels she needed to bridge the gap or come to a kumbaya moment with Shamea. And Shamea is also here talking to her sister about extending an olive branch, realizing that she might have done something wrong, especially body shaming Angela Oakley. I also did. So I'm going to apologize for that, but not really. I'll take it back. Maybe we'll just leave it like that. I'm crazy. Well, Shamea debuted her single to the sister, and there was a few conversations that was had, and she's looking at going to obviously mend fences with Angela. Whilst this was going on, we did have a glimpse of Raf. Raf is Drew Sidora's now estranged partner. Okay, when I mean estranged, he is living in the lower level penthouse. That is his words. He is down the lower level penthouse. We can see them trying to navigate co-parenting. Okay, they look like they are one happy family couple, and I'm thinking, if you guys are this happy, why are you guys going through a divorce? Why are you guys breaking up this family circle? But I don't know what happens in closed doors or behind closed doors, as we would hear. They are trying to suss each other out, because, as you know, there's lawyers involved, and oftentimes there has to be a point where the couples come together to try and reduce the financial legal burden. And I guess they are doing that. They are having decent, civilized conversation, even though Drew called him a narcissist, and Drew had no idea or clue what the definition of a narcissist was. So I'm like, okay, Drew, this is a little bit hard to watch, but I really cannot help you here. Posha is also trying to go global with her Pampered by Posha range, and she is having a meeting with her team in order to make sure that she dabs into more products on the Pampered by Posha line, as well as Gold Naked Hair. With Drew Sidora not in good terms with her, they're thinking about dropping Drew Sidora as an ambassador for her hairline. I don't know how that's going to play out, but it is going to play out. Drew Sidora is definitely being managed by Dennis, and we can see them in the studio having a conversation. Drew is trying to see if she can get Dennis to have a conversation with his baby mom, and Dennis is like, well, I'm going to let you do that, because when we had the chat initially, Pasha was really happy because she was in Nigeria eating fufu. How did Nigeria come into the drama? I don't know, but I'm just relaying exactly the way Dennis said it. So what he meant was that she was busy eating fufu and feeling, so happy because her tummy was full with her husband at the time, Simon. And so at that point in time, when this whole thing was in the works with the shooting, with the negotiations, with her coming back as a housewife, it was fine, and she was supportive of Dennis managing Drew's career and everything. And I guess the only thing now she's having an issue with is the fact that she's coming in solo, she's coming in divorced or going through a divorce, and so she wants her baby daddy for a storyline. And now that Drew is already using him for a storyline, he's also already a fixture on the show. It's a hard one to actually navigate, and I don't want to be any of them, but they can sort out their mess however they want to. And this is where we get to the scene, to the main event proper. I will say this: Kenya is a very strong woman, and she comes across as a very mean-spirited person. I see that, and I would say that the fact that she was demoted to a friend of the show would have impacted on her mentally, because she has a business that she's trying to grow from the ground up. And she did have this conversation with Kelly's, who is also a business mogul herself, if we call it that. Now, I'm going to say this because this week we got a verdict from Kelly's divorce situation. Now, the judge, according to the article I read, ruled that Kelly's is gonna only get $175,000, and the husband was gonna get 70 grand. They were gonna keep a fairly used car, and there was nothing about the business, okay? And that makes me wonder, is this all they are worth? 175,000, so let's just say split between them, 250 grand or $280,000. What is going on? I think, because she has a bodyguard on the show. Now, we saw the bodyguard at the vote, and we also saw the bodyguard when she was visiting and having a lunch date with Kenya at Kenya More Hair Care Spa. So I'm thinking to myself, how is she funding this lifestyle? Now, we know she bought like 20 or 17 bags, designer bag for her daughter who turned 17 at the first episode of the show. And so, and she was always wearing, from Chanel to all of the designers where she lives in a $1 million townhouse. So I'm thinking, if you are getting 100 and something grand from the divorce, that tells me the pool, in terms of the wealth pool that was divided between both partners, wasn't much. It wasn't much, because obviously they would have probably paid the debtors first, because that would have gone. And she has how many kids? 4 kids, if I'm not mistaken now. And you're getting $175,000. Where's the business? Or are there something that we don't know? Are there other documents that are in play that have been sealed by the court? Because the math is not mathing, guys. Like, come to the comment section. I want you guys to help me now, because I have been through a financial split with my now ex. And I know exactly how it works. Like, I can tell you, I can speak facts of how the numbers are not adding up in my head, given how she's claiming to be this wealthy and rich. Okay? And we should be also, they didn't really include the creditors in this particular news or update or information, but I would think there is a little bit more that we don't know, or otherwise there's something that is not adding up. Now, during this particular sit down with Kenya wanted her to give her some insight as in how to grow her business. And according to Kelly, she started her business from the ground up, with word of mouth, and she's also trying to instill or pass that on to Kenya. This brings me to the point where I'm trying to say Kenya is a very strong person, and I feel like the fact that she was demoted, it's one thing that's making her a little bit upset. But now she sort of lost all opportunity to actually earn an income in this particular season, because I'm sure after next episode, we will not be seeing Kenya on our TV screens the rest of till the episode ends, or till the season ends. So why did she decide on the big day? She said she is $400,000 into she invested $400,000 in this particular business of hers, and she's trying to franchise it. Now, I will not be buying into that franchise, given what has happened publicly. Now, your plan. Your daughter's college fund is what you use, according to Kenya. And here you are, making a mockery of your brand, your business, and your coins. Like, she didn't really think this through. she did really act on anger here. Like, something is definitely not adding up. So I'm on a side street, guys, and I just saw one being arrested by the cops. This is quite juicy. This is the first of its kind, okay? So let's go back to this particular vote drama incident. Now, the girls arrived, you know, based on Angela's invite, and got them all to sit down. I am not sure what the theme of this particular dinner was, but I felt if it was to stir up drama, it definitely, you know, lived or passed on that mark. And at the end of the day, it wasn't a necessary dinner that was to be had. I guess the girls don't know each other, and this is exactly what is quite clear from this particular event that happened. They don't know each other. They're still getting to know each other, and they are coming in too strong, too hot, too fast. So Brit arrived. They all hugged each other. I think the final guest to have arrived was Kenya. Cynthia wasn't here on this particular invite. Very quickly, Shamea and Angela hugged it out, and they squashed their, should I say, growing beef. Now, how long that peacekeeping force is going to remain between them, we don't know. We're going to see. It will only 4 episodes in, okay? And so the next to arrive was Kenya, who walked in, you know, oddly dressed, because it was supposed to be a black tie event, and Kenya decided she was going to wear lime green or some color, turquoise or whatever she wore, you know, twirled down the vote catwalk and quickly hugged everyone. And you could see a frosty atmosphere between Kenya and Brit. Kenya gave Brit a side hug, and Brit was like, oh, that hug is not nice, or wasn't Brit did not accept this hug. Brit felt the hug was insufficient, okay? And Kenya was like, that's all you're going to get. They got down very quickly to a question box. And you know, those games never turn out great, okay? Anonymously, you type in a question, and very quickly someone can fish out amongst the 6 of you who wrote that question. Kenya got most of the questions. I think the last one was, why do you acknowledge everyone or something? It was a very weird question, and I think it was more Brit wanted to know the reasons why she is getting dogged out by Kenya. And Kenya says, well, I treat everyone, I treat all the ladies equally. And Brit was like, well, you don't treat me the same. And very quickly that escalated to the point where words were now being exchanged. I don't know how this particular scene, because I'm still confused. I think I've watched it like 3 times, and I'm still trying to understand, was it necessary? What happened after? Because very quickly you could see Kenya walking out. I think Kenya was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this with this woman. And she was walking out. Brit was so defensive, irate, dramatic. And the next thing we heard, weapons are going to be drawn. I've got a weapon. I don't want to say it's GUN or whatever. How do you say it? I was like, did we need to go there? And then it's like the question I want to ask Americans. Why are you guys so trigger happy? Why are you guys so quick to point at a weapon that would do so much harm than it is good? Why? It's like a culture or a religion that these people cannot seem to shake. That every disagreement leads to someone mentioning or threatening someone else with a GUN. It is not necessary. And the next thing you could see her trying to get her Mike on the phone. It felt like Mike, her husband, is sort of her pimp. Because everything she was saying was, I'm going to get Mike here. I'm going to get Mike here. Like, oh my God. Like, what is your Mike? Is your Mike your gatekeeper? Is he a pimp? Is he your bodyguard? What's going on? Because clearly the 2 of them together seem to be up to no good. And this whole issue dragged outside, and she kept on referencing threatening vibes, giving out threatening words. And Kenya actually drove off with Porsche, and I think, I'm not sure who else was in the car. And that was where it was clear to Kenya that she was being threatened with a very dangerous weapon. And audio clips from that particular drive out was like, she's going to be a problem. We need to get her out of here. This is all from Kenya. She is a problem. She is we need to do something, she needs to be out or something of that sort. And this is where it ends. Now, I don't know how he got from -0 to 50,000. And this is all on Brit. There was no need to threaten a fellow co-star with a violent weapon. And that threat, because she kept going on and on about it, needed to be taken seriously by production. Because God forbid anything had happened to Kenya in that space of time before this other spa event happened, she would have been charged. I would think. Any legal person would think that. So I can't wait for next episode. I think I've said a lot. But guys, come on the comment section and tell me what you think about this particular sit down with the girls dinner date that went wrong and went left so fast. What do you guys think? And in the next episode, we're going to have more conversation. Please don't forget to comment. Okay? I'll see you guys soon. You're deserving. Stay safe and be focused.